what a game in San Francisco on Saturday night. Easily the biggest surprise of the weekend for me. Niners had basically 2 weeks off, fully rested. Green Bay, really cool story. Beating Dallas is one thing. Going to San Francisco is another. And I just figured, young quarterback, first road, not first because he played in Dallas last week, but upstage, right? The Niners have been rolling basically all season long. They're fresh, they're healthy, they're ready to go. And Green Bay came out and punched him in the mouth from basically start to finish until the final couple of minutes there. And then finally, San Francisco put one drive together. Jordan Love made a horrific decision. I want to get to an angle, though, of this game that I do think needs to be spoken about.
Okay.
There is a lot of animosity out there towards Brock Purdy, and I sense that on the socials whenever the 49ers do something.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that we're hating for the right reasons or not hating for the wrong reasons. These are takes from the same individual, and this is why people don't like Brock Purdy.
Are you going to read my texts over the air?
I am not. No, but you're emotional as a fan, right? I get it. Like, you're in the moment, your team's losing, it feels like they're going to go down. I get the takes in the moment. When they lost to the Ravens on Christmas night, there was a tweet from an individual that said, it's time to have an uncomfortable conversation about Brock Purdy. Didn't look good in the game. Threw, 3 picks, I want to say, in that game. A lot of them picks.
4. I think he threw 4 picks, and there was
deflected
2
balls.
pick sixes in there.
The first one in the end zone was really bad, right? Yeah. So, not a great game. Now it's time to have the uncomfortable conversation. Okay.
I can already tell who you're talking about by you wording it exactly how you worded it.
The Niners win on Saturday night. Okay, comeback win. Brock Purdy made a couple of nice plays late. Was really bad for most of that game, but came up with a couple of throws when he needed to. The touchdown to Kittle was a nice throw. And here's the tweet from the same person. They said Brock Purdy could only play with a lead. They said Brock Purdy can't win without Debo. 12-play, 69-yard, 5-minute game-winning drive, NFC Championship game 2 years in a row. Stop moving the goalposts. This is why people don't like Brock Purdy. And I just want to, it's like a PSA out there. This dude's the last pick of the draft, 7th round, in his second year in the NFL. And we're judging him as if he should be a finished product. Like, why isn't he playing better? This is a big moment. He needs to be clutch. Where's the clutch gene? Like, dude, he's a 7th round pick in year 2 in the NFL.
Yeah.
Can we give him a little bit of grace to grow on the job? He was not great Saturday, did enough in the end to find a way to win, thankfully, because of his team.
The guy you're referencing, was he a big Tua over Herbert guy?
Yes, he was. It happened to be Emmanuel Acho.
Emmanuel Acho,
yes.
I did like that people found that he was the one questioning it, so he's just responding to himself as if the internet's always talking to him.
It's the Skip Bayless debating himself on the same topic thing.
Yeah, it really is. Look, this is one of the weirder games because my takeaway is Green Bay should have won this football game.
They 100% should have won that game.
I can't remember what I was texting because I was trying not to text. But also, I had my nephew, who's a freshman in high school, at my house, who doesn't watch football that religiously, coming over and in my ear, Niners, they suck, bro.
Exactly.
Jordan Love will carve them up. And then, there's an interception. And I'm like, ah! Or not an interception, but
near
another,
pick,
near pick. And I'm just I'm seething on my couch.
For opening drive, he hit a safety in the numbers, and it should have been
Savage should have had a pick 6, and it would have been, I think, at that point 10-0, and that would have been even more uncomfortable. So, but you go look at some of the numbers at the end of the game, and it's just the stats are not lining up with what I watched, and that's the weird thing about this game. The Niners win it. They have that last drive. They capitalize. They pick off Love. Game is over. But for most, if not all of that game, my feeling was I'm watching one franchise realize they have a franchise guy, and I'm seeing the other go, I don't know, and I don't feel great about it. And the team that I felt great is the team that lost.
and the quarterback made a horrific decision on the final drive.
Well, let's also be fair here. I will give Jordan Love the flowers, and Packer fans in a weird spot of, you probably should have won that game, but you feel great going into the offseason, but you don't want to feel great right now because you lost a playoff game.
It's a moment where house money goes away when you play that game. You go in thinking, house money, win or lose, we've had a great year. And then you play a game that you should have won 9 times out of 10, and you lose it, and the house money's gone.
Both picks were awful.
Horrible picks.
It wasn't a Baker where I thought one pick was kind of the receiver. That was behind the tight end.
Yep.
Barely got a hand on it, deflected, interception. And the second is a throw you shouldn't be making.
No.
So he had 2 horrific interceptions there. Brock Purdy, I also think we can be honest and fair about this. he wasn't very good.
No.
And he should have been picked 3 times. He had one dropped one and like 4 other passes that just happened to land right where there was no DB. They were awful throws, but somehow landed in the middle of nothing.
Yeah.
And he's really lucky for that. Christian McCaffrey and that defense in the second half, specifically the fourth quarter, won them the football game. You can give Brock, not you, but the proverbial yous out there, you can give Brock Purdy your flowers for a drive because I'm seeing all the pundits do it when it mattered the most. He threw 3 passes that were out routes. He also missed like all of them all game.
He did.
That game to me was about Jordan Love interception, but also Christian McCaffrey and the offense finding a way to get through the Brock Purdy woes. I didn't feel great about it. And I still think my takeaway was Green Bay should have won the game. I can't believe Green Bay didn't win that football game.
I mean, all the way back early on to their 4th down quarterback sneak that maybe was, maybe not a first down, that the 49ers get the stop. Like even just a little place like that you kind of forget about in the aftermath of the game. You have a totally different feeling. If you pick that up early, they were in control. It took the 49ers a long time to get going offensively.
And Aaron Jones was running all over the defense.
All over, man. He had that 50-yard run late as well. Like he went over 100 yards. He was phenomenal. Green Bay had a great game plan. I thought Kyle Shanahan also got out-coached. That was another aspect of this.
That first half drive.
What the 49ers were doing offensively in the first half was horrible. And then you get to the end of the first half where there's a minute left or whatever, how much time was left, and you go that conservative to settle for a long field goal that ends up getting blocked. Like, what are we doing here, man? When is this dude going to learn his lesson on time management and being aggressive in certain situations? What I would ask for the Purdy stuff, I understand that everybody wants to have a take and you have to have something crystallized. He is this or he isn't this or he's going to be this. Like, dude, the guy's a 7th-round draft pick playing in it. How many starts does he have under his belt in his NFL career? 25, if that. Right? He started, 8 or 9 games last year, most of the season this year. The dude's barely got a cup of coffee in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then we want to see him perform at a high level. And if he doesn't in a playoff game, it's like, well, he's a bum. He's not a franchise quarterback. Like, we have seen teams win with this model. Tom Brady won early in his career in spite of himself. He made a couple of nice plays here or there. Go look at his numbers from the Super Bowl against the Rams. He didn't do S. Russell Wilson went early in his career being led by an elite defense and then eventually transitioned into being one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Guys have done this before. You don't have to be everything if you're Brock Purdy. That's the beautiful thing of being Brock Purdy. They didn't win that game because of him. I just hate how we have to climb onto these narratives and it turns into the whole talking point. Jordan Love was good, made a couple of really bad decisions. Purdy wasn't. His team was better, and their defense made more plays in the end. That's why they won.
By the way, 4:04 left in the first half when they got that last drive. They started playing the clock game, and Shanahan talked about this in the postgame. I watched his postgame presser. He acknowledged his thinking in the moment is don't give Green Bay the ball back. But he refused to acknowledge that he handled that drive wrong, and maybe he publicly doesn't want to do that. That was some of the worst clock management I've ever seen in my life. Yep. And to settle for that field goal.
You're up 7-6 in that moment. Be aggressive. You can go up 14-6 there.
I don't think you should be drafting kickers, but they did. And so, he comes in with his expectation, and, Niner fan is nervous about him. So you're putting even more pressure on a rookie kicker in a moment, and then you miss the kick, of course, because you shouldn't be handling the clock that way. The other part of this is I think Green Bay fans should feel good about Jordan Love. He also didn't play an amazing game. They almost won that game not just because of Jordan Love. Their defense had Brock Purdy kind of in shambles.
The weather had Brock Purdy in shambles, too.
Yeah.
He couldn't grip a football.
Green Bay also had to play in that same weather.
Oh, I know.
But he also threw those 2 bad picks. I don't know. I just thought they almost won that game more so because of other reasons than just Jordan Love. But It's such a quarterback-driven league that we just gravitate towards the quarterbacks for all good and bad.
Yeah.
And I think there's more context that needs to be said. That was typical reputation Shanahan bad clock management and coaching at the end of that first half.
Yes.
And it damn near cost him the game with that. So there's some things with San Francisco. We can talk about that matchup with Detroit throughout this week. I'm still stunned today. The Green Bay didn't win that game. I thought they played enough and did a good enough things to beat San Francisco in San Francisco.
They felt like the better team for about 87% of that game.